Okay, welcome back. Let's talk to Andrew Boast, co-founder of ShareMortgage.com. If you watched us last week, Andrew kicked off. Let's have a quick recap. Morning to you, Andrew, of what we talked about last week.
So we went through Share a Mortgage and the challenges that are faced by people who are looking to buy. And it is unsurprising to see that that people are finding it so difficult to buy at the moment. But I think this is our generation, and our generation are going to find it harder and harder the more that the goalposts are moved further and further away as property prices are going up and up and up. I think if we look 40 years ago at my parents' generation, it was a lot easier. Property prices were around £5,000, average salaries were around 3 times that. So around £1,500, you could actually buy 3 times the salary to get a mortgage.
Okay.
So that was a lot simpler back then.
Yep.
Nowadays, it's 10 times the salary to get. So the average in England is around £260,000 to buy a home. Now, if milk had gone up at the same rate, we'd be looking at a pint of milk for about £11.
Okay.
So it's actually becoming harder and harder and harder.
That's a statistic.
It's difficult, isn't it? And if you're thinking about a 10 times salary mortgage, when mortgage lenders, on average, you're looking at around 3.5 times your salary, the options available for anyone looking to buy a home is limited. And through the people I'm speaking to, when I speak to them what they're doing, currently renting, spending a lot of money on rent, living in London, no aspirations to buy a home, because suddenly the goalposts are so far away, they've given up. It's like Brazil in the World Cup. They're 5-1 down, they're giving up. They're not even going for looking for trying to get a property.
Okay.
And I think that this is a challenge that first-time buyers now are faced with, which is a completely new challenge that they're trying to tackle.
Okay. So we're now going to share a mortgage.
Yeah.
So me and Zach have decided that we want to buy this property in London. Mm-hmm. Are we still on 3.5 times our salary, or is it now, or they up the ante?
Yeah. Well, let's start at basics. Okay. I had a look this morning. Hammersmith. I looked for a property for you two. But if you were just going for it yourself, it was around £280,000.
Yep.
You've got a 10% deposit.
Okay.
Let's say, for instance, you had that £28,000.
Okay.
And put in real terms, that's £500 a month for 4.5 years you've saved.
Okay.
That's a long time, okay? Now you've got to get a mortgage. We're just looking at the lowest price I could find in Hammersmith, £280,000. You're now looking for a £250,000 mortgage. Now, the average salary in London is around £35,000. That's 7 times your salary.
Okay.
No mortgage lender is going to give you 7 times your salary with only a 10% deposit.
Okay.
It's unachievable
for
you on your own.
Okay.
But not just looking at that side of things. Now you're forced to rent. So I had to look at what you would pay in rent.
Yep.
£295 a week.
£1,200.
So you are now looking at, in the same period of time it would save you, that deposit, 4.5 years, you would spend almost £70,000. £70,000 in rent during that period of time, just whilst you were saving up for that deposit.
For the extra 5.
Even if you could actually then get a mortgage, which 7 times your salary, because you're an average earner, you can't. But at ShareMortgage.com, we say you can, you just don't do it on your own. You see, if you and Zach bought together, if you both had 2 average salaries, that gives you an average buying power of £71,000. That, if you did 4 times your salary or 3.5 times that salary multiple, that gives you the mortgage you need.
Right.
Not only that, you share the deposit between you.
Okay.
So you're not trying to save £28,000 on your own, it's £14,000 between you. So basically, 2 years worth of saving, if you've got no savings, could get you the opportunity to buy that property in Hammersmith. And if you think over the last 2 years, property prices in Hammersmith have gone up 32%. So if you bought now at 280, property is going to be worth another £90,000 in 2 years' time if property prices continue to grow.
Yep.
But I'm just going on the trend which is being set.
Okay.
That means that if you did buy now, that would give you an opportunity of being able to split the increase between the person you bought with. So you're not £30,000 or £70,000 out of pocket from all the rent which you've been paying out. Suddenly you have the ability to have invested in your own property. And the challenge there is halved. So you're enabled to share with someone living in that property to then, in a couple of years' time, everyone aspires, or I think most people aspire to own their own home. They want their own place. They don't want to be sharing with anyone for a long period of time unless it's their life partner, wife or husband. So what they then have the opportunity to do is in a couple of years' time, buy on their own, take the equity which they've had the benefit of generating from owning that property and buy themselves. But the problem which we're faced with is that last month only 3% of people bought or put an offer in on a home who were under 30. So under 30s made up 3%. So we're now looking at people are buying older, people are getting mortgages later on in life, and what's the knock-on effect to your latter years? We're living longer. Where's your pension coming from? If you're not buying a property and getting on the ladder, where are you going to look to? Are you going to be squirreling away the money which is going to need to look after you in your latter years? And that's the challenge which this generation is faced with. Whereas before, it was a lot easier to get a property because property values were lower, salaries are more comparable. Now it's harder. But it can be made easier at shareamortgage.com through being able to share and get onto the property ladder, build a nest, build yourself an opportunity to have a property for your pension pot. That is one angle to look.
Okay, so as always, it's the attention to detail. It's me and Zach saying, all right, we'll go and get a 2-bedroom place in Hammersmith, okay? The legal paperwork. Is my legal bill going to go from 500 quid to 5 grand because I've got to make sure that he doesn't run off with my deposit, he doesn't bring a girl in that I don't like, if he snores and drives me mad, whatever you do.
All this could happen.
And it could.
And
they've just put, hopefully, the Share a Mortgage website up.
So absolutely. In all of the cases which you've said, do the fees increase? No. What you're basically doing is paying the same amount of fees just between the two of you. So if you bought on your own, you'd have stamp duty of almost £9,000 on that property.
But that legal document is going to be much more complicated, isn't it?
The legal document which we're talking about, so when people buy together, they should have a legal document called the Shared Ownership Protection.
Okay.
The cost of that document is only £349.
And that's a legal document?
That is a legally binding document created by solicitors, enabling you and Zach to live with each other, setting out clear terms. As you said last week, you're not allowed to use the sofa on Friday night. I mean, that's a very extreme stipulation, but it does go into details of who's allowed in the property, if friends stay for too long, if you get married, what happens, if there's a divorce, what happens, because no one else wants to get a beneficial interest on the title. All of those scenarios are covered within this document, and it sets out your intentions between you, saying, I want to live with you for this amount of time, for this purpose, to own a property, to invest, to hopefully have a gain, and after that period of time, we'll sell and go our own separate ways, and it's very clearly defined in the Shared Ownership Protection.
I've got to say, that all sounds really sensible to me. I've got the picture now.
I understand. I think the problem is it's still very expensive, even with the 2 people. I mean,
but that's not Andrew's fault, is it? He's trying to help, oil the wheel, aren't you?
I mean, if buying a home is going to be expensive, what we've done is we've divided it by 2. And actually, if you've got a 2-bedroom where you could fit in another bed, then you could actually have 3 people. Now, 3 people putting in a deposit actually makes it incredibly affordable to buy a home. But the challenges being faced are that if you don't answer the problem of what is your pension solution, what is your solution for your latter years, where is your savings going to come from, we're going to have a generation where we're going to be stuck renting, not getting any benefit from owning our own home, and looking to the state in our later years to say, can you help me because I haven't been able to save enough during my lifetime?
Well, I've got to say, we've run out of time, but Andrew Boast, co-founder of shareamortgage.com, if I was a young person out there, I'd be phoning. There's no question about it at all.
Thank you very much.
Okay, as we always say, people need to do their own homework. This is meant to be thought-provoking and everything, okay, but I think that's very sensible stuff. Let's have a final